Do you show up for a recording?
Hello and welcome everyone to Retro Fandango episode 167. I'm Kevin from the very highly successful website buriedonmars.com, and we got Richard here, my co-host, who doesn't do anything but this show, I guess.
That's very true.
You're the announcer, the voiceover guy on Stuck in the 80s. That's about it.
Yes. Yeah. I just collect residuals from my past work.
And how much have you collected so far?
Collecting is a process. I'm in the process of collecting.
I see. Which mic are you on? Are you on your big mic there, or am I hearing?
See, that's a good question.
Yeah, you're sounding a little thin. I know I get in trouble. So while you figure that out, let me do the house cleaning. That's good. Quick Save Club is playing Torchlight 2. Soon to wrap that up within a week. It's good times. Going to be talking about that. Cartridge Club has been playing Banjo-Kazooie. And RF Generation has been playing BioShock 2. So you got about 10 days, if you're listening to this today, to get in some of those games. And get ready to record a podcast on them. You know, if you're going to be a guest on one of those. You know,
how's my mic now?
Now you're sounding good.
All right.
Yeah.
I have to respond via my phone number.
Well, you sound a little low. I got to turn you up.
I'm mumbling because I'm reading comments.
I see. Fandango coming up next week with our pal It's Rocket Sauce. It's going to be the coming of age 3-pack. So the next episode will be a Fandango if all goes well.
Again?
We'll be watching Stand By Me, Rushmore, and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I have watched one of these movies already. That's how up I am on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched one. I have one of them in me. Next month, it's going to be Classic Hanky Panky with Tom Hanks. We're going to be doing Splash from 1984, Big from 1988, and The Burbs from 1989. A Joe Dante joint. And then in January, we're going to be doing some Tubi trash. It's time to bring back the Tubi trash, and we're going to stream those over on our Discord channels. So we want to make sure that you're part of the Discord channel. If you need an invite, just let me know. Because at some point I'm going to stream it from my computer, and we're going to watch it together. And it's not going to be recorded; it's just going to be streamed, and then we're going to record a podcast on there.
We got to set up times and schedules and all that stuff.
That's the thing I was thinking, but like we already have like a small window to do this. So pretty much if we record this, then our backup, window, which is the next day at the same time, that'll have to be like the movie time, wouldn't it? So you'd have to get up early in the morning to watch a movie. Or we could do it later in the day, in your evening.
We'll have to work something out here. Well, I mean, worst case, if we can only stream a couple of them.
And before I finish up the house cleaning, I have to remind everybody that the Cartridge Club's Extra Life stream for charity is coming up very soon. I know I'm going to say the word December, but December is only 10 days away, and this is on 4 days in December. It starts. So you got 14 days, 2 weeks. This is coming up. So get ready, because it's going to be 3 days of streaming. I'm going to be streaming on the second day, on Saturday morning. I put out a poll this morning because I wasn't sure what to stream. And so far, American Truck Simulator is winning against PC racing games, classic racing games, and some ARPGs, some Diablo-like ARPGs.
You should have given a few more examples, because if you're saying American Truck Simulator by name, and then you're just saying classic racing games, what is that?
They only give you a small window. Like, you only allowed so many characters per choice. So I couldn't
give like a for example, like list one title, and then like amongst others or something.
I wouldn't even have.
I don't know what a classic PC racing.
I don't even have space for that. Like it's just like you only have, I think it's like 32 characters, and that's it. That's all you have, or might even be less than that.
Well,
But,
can you give an example? Like
I would
tell
say
the people.
I would say something like Need for Speed. You know, like Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, or something like that from the mid 2000s. That'd be one example. Death Rally, which I was playing earlier this year. That's a good.
Was that the one they gave away for free?
Yep, that's good times. You know, so stuff like that. So some 2D stuff, some 3D stuff. You know.
So your options are drive a truck, drive a car,
yep,
or dungeon crawl.
Yep.
Okay. Or something else.
And then I put something else. And then, you know, expecting that with something else, somebody would suggest what something else would be, but no one suggested anything. So.
No, but that's what I voted for, but I didn't suggest anything.
It's losing anyways. So American Truck Simulator is by far winning. So there you go. That's probably what I'll be doing. Which
people
is fine
just want to
with me.
see your trucker hat.
Hey man, that's fine with me because it is easy. It's just one game. You sit there, relax, you drive, you listen to tunes, you talk. It's good times. Half of my people can't watch it later because it gets muted because I'm playing commercial music. But whatever, I don't care. You're there I want you there, up early, Saturday morning. Get ready to donate some money. Don't save it all for the Q Dogs. Save some for the Q Dogs. Because we want them, you know, we want to see them talking every week in front of an appliance. I'm going to go with a fridge this year. I think it would be fun if we get them to talk in front of their fridge.
They could spice things up and put a smaller appliance in front of them.
Like a blender? Like just
a blender, hand mixer, coffee grinder.
These are good thoughts. Yeah. Okay.
They could even, you know, as the dollars start rolling in, they say, hey, you know what? Next time we hit our milestone, we'll bring a new appliance in front.
Or the highest bidder gets to choose. Maybe if you donate so much money, you get to choose a week where you get to choose which appliance they do the video with.
Right. They could even do like a whole mystery thing, have a couple of boxes. Like, hey, do you want to see the appliance under box A or box B?
Man, yeah, that's pretty good.
For A, donate this amount.
They'd make a ton of dough with that. Why can't I come up with any ideas for myself? I have no idea what to do.
Well, you don't have those top of the line, high quality products.
No, I don't.
You probably just walk down to the store and say, I need a blender. This one, it's on sale. No.
I do grab whatever's on sale.
I can actually use a new blender.
It's Rocket Sauce really wants you to appear on there. What's the incentive for you to appear? We'd have
the technological know-how. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know how I would do that because they have their inlays and all that stuff. So I suppose I could put this inside the inlay, so it'd be StreamYard inside the thing, and we could talk. Maybe we could just record an episode of Retro Fandango. Wouldn't that be good? That'd be good enough, wouldn't it?
That's all I do.
You'd have to stay up late on a Saturday though. Not too late though.
Oh man, I don't know. I remember I did that one stream before, and I can't even remember how I had this whole thing set up, but it involves some cables and things that I no longer have.
You wouldn't have to do
idea.
No, it would just be doing like this, like a StreamYard thing, like this.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have to do anything. You would just have to follow the link like you did, and then you'd come in, and then you wouldn't have to do anything.
I like that. That sounds really good. I don't have to do anything.
I think we could do that. Because all I would have to do is I would have to this would be the window I would capture, and I would put that onto the stream, and we could just record it, so it doesn't go live. It wouldn't go live to the Retro Fandango channel. It would just be a recording, but it would be streamed on Twitch. Yeah, you can do that if you want.
It's up to you. I mean, it's your show. You're driving the truck, so
Yeah. Ah, we got some.
Do you need a hitchhiker sitting there next to you, like, hey, it's a nice truck. You drive real far?
Wouldn't be the first time I had a backseat driver. Let me tell you.
Mm.
Actually, that'd be fun to have Sarah school me on my driving techniques. Yeah. Actually, she'd probably have this is everything that I do. It's like, okay, Sarah, on December 5th, on the Saturday morning, I'm going to have to take that whole morning to do some streaming, and her response isn't like, well, you need to get this done or whatever, or we got something to do on that. Her thing is always, do I have to do anything? Does it require me to do anything? And as long as the answer is no, there's nothing extra she has to do, then she's completely fine with it.
That's the way to approach it.
Rocket Sauce is here, by the way.
He's been here. Oh gosh, look at all this stuff he's writing.
Man, he's writing a lot of stuff. He's doing work on computers. I'm 2 down, 1 to go. With the movies. Right. That's right. Okay. And he voted for something else as well.
Mm-hmm.
I had fun doing the American Truck Simulator. It was fun because it was easy, and I find like a lot of times, like when you're streaming, you're playing a game, it's really hard to interact with the chat, whereas that game was fairly easy to interact with the chat.
You'd have to be pretty good at a game in order to do that.
Yeah, and I'm not good at any game. So this was easy. Like you get the truck set up and you're on your route and you're driving along and you just interact with the chat a little bit. But you got to watch because you might miss your stop or something. And then at the end, we broke the game. I started driving around, smashing into things and all that. That was good times.
Word.
All right. That's it. I think we covered everything. So check that out. Extra Life stream. Starting December 4th.
So wait a minute. What are you doing here with this buriedonmars.com?
What do you mean?
Like you plugged it at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just my blog.
Yeah,
it's been buriedonmars.com for 2 months now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. You should have mentioned it before.
I did.
Did you?
Well, it's actually been printed here under my name, beside my name here for a very long time.
Where? Oh, on there.
See where my name is? And then beside that it says buriedonmars.com.
Yeah, I never looked at that before.
No, obviously not.
Well, I show up here every week. Like, what do I expect? Something's going to be different? Yeah, there's a whole lot of like AC/DC. Oh, look, there's AC/DC shot in the dark. All right.
Yeah. It's good. It's good times. Yeah, it's mostly
mixed it up. Van Halen, Led Zeppelin. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, more AC/DC.
Yeah. It's number one AC/DC site out there. It's mostly just about rock music,
Pretty much,
yeah. But that's all. That's all good.
There's a King Kong in there.
Yeah, well, I've still been doing my movie updates there, where I watch what I've been watching every month. I do need to catch up on my letterbox though, because I'm about 20 days behind on that, and I need to get that all caught up.
I don't know how you keep up with all these things. Even when you don't keep up with them, you would try to keep up with them. It just seems like so much to catalog.
Well, I mean, as long as you keep at it, it never becomes anything like a big giant task or anything, right? So you just watch a movie. I mark it down while I'm watching the movie so I don't forget. And then the next day at some point I just jot some notes in there. Like in my spreadsheet, it's all done. It's all good to go. And then on Letterbox, I just copy what my review is in my spreadsheet and bring it over into Letterbox.
That is dedication.
Well, I'm bored at work.
I guess that's the thing, right?
Pretty much.
If you have the time at work, you're not going to focus on work. You're always going to think about other things.
And like basically, like if I am at a keyboard and I'm typing away and I'm doing stuff in that, other people think I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. So
Right.
it works out for me. It's a win-win.
I've noticed that. I try to shuffle as many papers as I can while I'm at work because it looks like I'm doing stuff.
That's right. That was the one thing. Like if you're walking down if you're walking around in the hallways at work and you have nothing in your hands, people think, "Oh, what are you doing? What's he up to?" There's nothing
taking
going on.
A stroll.
Yeah. So what you do is you grab some paper. Or in my business, you can grab, back in the day, I don't think you can do this anymore, but back in the day, you could grab a tape and walk around with a tape. Mm-hmm. And that looks like you have something and you're going somewhere with that tape. So
time sensitive. Right.
That guy is going somewhere with that tape. He needs to drop that off. Meanwhile, you're just walking around, but you got a tape in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Pro tip.
It's all about the accessories. You gotta have a nice prop.
Although right now there's nobody at work to even ask what you're up to. So
because of the restrictions, distancing,
all the office staff and that is still all working from home. Mm-hmm. So it's just us operations people that are there, some on-air people. Yeah, today it was very close on whether or not we were going to go on another lockdown in my region. But the premier, who is like a governor of a state, the premier of Ontario today, just like within the last hour, he put the city of Toronto on a lockdown in Peel region, which is a region just outside of Toronto. So they're on full lockdown. So that means the restaurants are closed again, the bars are closed again.
What's the situation like? You have a whole bunch of reported cases. Like, what are your numbers looking like?
Yeah, the cases are going up, and they're predicting right now, if we don't, the path that we're on right now, by the end of December, we're going to be getting 20,000 cases a day in Canada. Which, I mean, we're only a country we're still smaller than California. There's still more people in California than all of Canada. So that's like an alarming amount. I think right now, I think today our numbers are over 1,000 in Ontario. Mm-hmm. So, Ontario's like, population-wise, it's like Illinois. But, the problem is that, and, I get it. Like, you can't just put like a blanket lockdown on the whole province, because there are parts of Ontario that are just so barren. There's hardly anybody there, right?
Right.
So it makes no sense for them to go on lockdown when they have no cases and there's nothing around there. Whereas Toronto's like Chicago. It's the same size. Chicago's a little bigger, but it's all condensed. Right. So that's why they go.
A major city where you got a whole bunch of people gathering around. Normally you would have a lot of tourism and everything.
So in my area, in Youre region, it was on the bubble on whether or not it was going to go on a lockdown. Right now we're in red. We're a red zone.
Oh, you look like a U.S. map.
No, it's not a Republican thing. All right, it's weird. Our liberal color is red and our conservative color is blue.
What's up with that?
And then we have the New Democratic Party, who's orange. Canada.
Yeah.
We do it the way we do. So
the only colors I think of Canada are red and white.
Yeah. Well, that's the way most people should think of. It's red and white. But anyways, we were on the bubble on whether we were going to go on a lockdown, but where I am, it's kind of off to the side of the rest of the area, right? The rest of the region. So we're okay here. But there's more condensed parts. Like you drive 15 minutes south from us. That's where it gets more condensed. And that's where they're having problems. And they're saying, well, couldn't we even shut down just parts of the region, and not have the whole region? But we share a hospital with those people, right? So, if people start getting sick here, we're all using the same resources and all that. But anyways, it turned out today that we didn't go full lockdown, anyways, in my region. But
I don't know. Well, don't be surprised. We're hitting that season.
Yeah,
cold weather's coming in. I mean, where I am, we're doing okay. Up in Tokyo, I think they just hit like 500 cases. So now it's kind of like, oh, what are we gonna do? But you compare that to some other places, not that bad.
no,
and that's, I'm talking about Tokyo where I am.
that's
Maybe we got like 2 or 3 cases every couple of days or something, but it's not that bad.
What is it? Just that they're like people are more disciplined there with wearing the masks and washing their
I think
hands?
that's it. I mean, some countries really seem to have a handle on it. And the one thing about Japan and other parts of Asia is people are kind of accustomed to wearing the masks, and people do tend to, be a little kind of reserved.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have the handshake culture and stuff here. So people normally keep their distance, and there's not a lot of like, people don't really hug and stuff the way they do in the West. You meet up, you don't touch each other, you bow, you just like hang out, whatever. Wearing a mask is, commonplace. So, I mean, there's still stupid people. They go out to bars at night and they're all like crammed in close together. That's the thing. The physical distancing space is just limited because everything is so smaller here. So that's why Tokyo is having the big problem, because there's so many people up there.
Well, and in bars, you got the loud music and everyone's trying to talk over the music, and they're spreading stuff further than it should be.
But really, the government is still being pretty idiotic, because they got this whole, they call it go to travel. There's this whole campaign because the economy suffered so much from the past, year almost. So they got this campaign of saying, hey, go travel, go visit places.
Yeah.
And, we'll send you coupons. If you go travel, you're going to get coupons. You save some money. But then people go out, and of course it runs the risk of contaminating other people. So they're worried about it, but at the same time, they don't want to cancel this whole go-to travel thing. So the latest thing they've said is, well, when you go to a restaurant, what you got to do is you take the mask off, you have a bite, you put that mask back on while you chew. And then you take it off, take another bite, put that mask back on. This is serious. That's what the government is pushing, because they don't want to lock down again, and they don't want to offer any type of other support financially. So just you better, put that mask up and down every time you take a bite. I'm going to do it too. If you get sick, it's your fault.
That's the ridiculous part right there, is that like all these restaurants, bars, gyms, all these businesses that rely on having people in an enclosed space and together and, breathing on each other, basically, they should have been taken care of financially back in June. That's where we should have started all this stuff. Just like, look, we'll pay you to stay closed. We'll pay you not to open up. Keep your employees employed, and they're starting to do it like Canada had a big, our prime minister had a big news conference this morning, and they are taking steps to take care of their rent, at least. Some businesses will get up to 90% of their rent taken care of, but probably most likely it would be like 60%, which is a huge step forward. You're basically paying these guys to stay closed. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be enough,
Government's got to step in and help out, or my God, even instead of doing like a full lockdown, if you did like a alternating schedule, this restaurant, you guys open up on Tuesday, and then, you guys open up on Wednesday.
Yeah. I mean, they have some things like that. Like they won't allow there was like bars had to close at 10 o'clock, which sounds like, well, that's kind of stupid. Like, what? This COVID doesn't care if it's 9:59 or it's 10:01. But what a lot of these bars were doing were they call it moonlighting, where during the evening they are a restaurant / bar, where the families come in and eat and all that. Maybe they'll have some music or whatever. But then at 10 o'clock, the place changes to dance club, and they bring in the DJ to play the loud tunes, and they clear out the tables and make a dance floor. And so, that's the way that they had getting around having to close as a restaurant, and then they could reopen as a dance, whatever, concert place, whatever, DJ
None
place.
Of that sound appealing to me.
Oh, me neither. I had no idea any of this was happening. I only learned about this because I was like, well, what's the point of these places closing at 10 o'clock? And then I looked into it, and I'm like, oh, I see. They want these places to stop moonlighting. And it's really, those things are super spreader events, because you have the kids in there, they're all close together, they're yelling over the music, and boom. So, anyways, I was really happy with the Prime Minister and the plan and all that today. But let me tell you, the media is starting to the amount of attention that they're giving these stupid. See, people ask, why do you care in Canada what the United States does? You just concern yourself with your own country. You shouldn't care about the United States. But
yeah.
There's a lot of monkey see, monkey do stuff. A lot of Canadians look at what the United States do, and they just think, oh, that's what we should do here or whatever. And the stupid comes across the border. Even though our border is closed, the idiocy still it finds its way across that border. So today I'm watching the Prime Minister, and he's laying down the plan and all this stuff, and some reporters come on, they ask some serious questions. Then this one dumb idiot reporter gets on there, and they're like, what? So you said that you want to reset the economy, and there's a lot of chatter on the internet, which means QAnon, that stupid Q bullshit. There's a lot of chatter on the internet about this global reset of the economy and everything going to a socialist state and all this, and just going on and on. And, I'm trying to watch this press conference and get some information and all that. And I got to sit and watch the friggin' Prime Minister answer this stuff. So he's got to answer it. And because it's Canada, then he's got to answer it in French because he doesn't want to be misquoted. So he's got to make sure that he answers it in French. And then this idiot reporter gets a follow-up. So it's 5 minutes spent on the stupid, idiotic stuff that's just I hear QAnon, and I just want to barf. I want to barf everywhere. I already hate conspiracy theories, but the QAnon stuff is just so stupid. It's just a complete waste of time. We're in a pandemic. We're supposed to be concerned with important stuff, not your dumb garbage that you want to fool around with on the internet. Drives me nuts.
They hit a chord with you, huh?
Oh, it just drove me nuts, man. Drove me nuts.
I was curious. You said the stupid comes over. Within, Canadian society, do you see a lot of people that are like, oh, yeah, Trump's onto something. He's
there's enough.
Making some sense.
There's enough. There's enough. And it's really disappointing to see. We had last year, what was it? There were these guys that wore these, they were supposedly supporting the trucking industry in Canada. I can't remember what they called themselves, but they wore those vests. The vests aren't stupid, but they look stupid wearing them. The vest with the cross on them, because if you're a trucker and you got to put the vest on when you go outside of your truck to check the tires or whatever, and it's
vest with a cross
or a crossing guard or something like that. Those the reflective gear.
Oh, okay. When you said cross, I'm thinking a Christian cross.
Not a Christian cross, an X-Men cross, like that. And it's reflective gear, so you can be seen at night. And truckers tend to wear those because they have to go out of their truck at night and they want to be seen or whatever. So anyways, it was it was this thing where they had this rally where they were supporting the truckers because the truckers were being stamped. I don't know. The messaging was so stupid because they're all from the prairie provinces. They get together and they drive down to Ottawa, or capital Ottawa, and they protest, and none of them are truckers. They're all just there because they're racist. They're just racist people. And they just found some stupid reason to gather and get out there. Safety vests. Yes. Thank you, Chris.
Did Kevin just delete himself from the conversation? Someday he's going to learn how to push a button. Might as well take a little time to say welcome to Chris Roberts and Kyle. Oh, look who's back.
What are you talking about? That was a pregnant pause. I took a pregnant pause.
A pregnant pause.
Listen, that's a lesson I learned today. I am one button from taking myself right out. There's a little button on the side of my mouse here that if I press that, it takes me right out. That was good.
You and your gamer mouse.
And Kyle's here. Yes, Trumpism. Trumpism is a pandemic in of itself. Yeah, it's just the product of propaganda and the bad kind. You know, it's exactly what Hitler was doing in the 40s, in the 30s and the 40s. Man, it's how he came to power. Propaganda is powerful.
It's amazing. You know, you stand up on that soapbox and you shout your crazy stuff. You do it long enough, people will listen.
And in the American news, it's so just repetitive. Like they're going on about like, is Trump going to concede or he's not going to? He's never going to concede. Never. Yeah. He's going to he's going to be on his deathbed saying how he won the election in 2020. It's never going to happen. So let's move on. I'm happy that most of them are sticking to the pandemic news. Like when Rudy Giuliani came out yesterday, I'm pretty sure you saw it, where his hair dye was running down the side of his face because he was sweating so bad, which it's just kind of beautiful how that guy cannot get a press conference together without, like, 1 minute he's in front of the Four Seasons landscaping company, and the next he's got the hair dye running down his face. So that's kind of nice to see. But it was nice to see that when he was out spewing his crazy, the only American network that was covering it was Fox News, and the rest all were talking about the pandemic stuff. So that was pretty nice to see.
Yeah, I kind of reached my point with all that a little while ago. I check in. I'm hearing myself in a feedback loop now.
Actually, I kind of hear myself too a little bit, but I got headphones on.
Yeah, me too. That's gone now. That was weird. But yeah, I can't watch. I check in here and there, and it's like, it's still that again. Nothing new.
Yeah.
It's all working to his favor, though, because, you know, they got to have something going on. The Republicans just don't want to lose the voter turnout that they got. And they can't do anything to make it sound like they're giving up or giving in because they got this whole, like, militant power, you know. If they show any weakness, they're just going to fade away.
Meanwhile, they're going on about, like, well, you know, they gave Al Gore 37 days to do this. Yeah, well, that was one state, and it was a difference of 500 votes. Mm-hmm. So obviously, you could see where they would want to take a little more time with that. Not where it's like 5 or 6 states. All of them are at least 10,000 or more vote
10,000 or even greater,
more, way more,
100,000 or something.
Yeah.
You know?
So, dude, you lost the election. Time to move on. But it's just so funny to see what the spin is sometimes. Anyways.
So,
how are you feeling, by the way?
Some stuff.
Are you feeling okay?
Look at me.
Yeah.
Let me at him. I'm Trump.
Did you drink
from the Rona?
Did you drink lots of tea with honey, or what was your cure?
I had a lot of lemon tea and honey tea and some good bed rest.
Good.
No, it was all just the seasonal change. Just had to spit up a few wads of phlegm, and now I'm back.
Is it nice there? What's the weather like?
It's really nice. Yesterday was technically cold, but it was still like you didn't need a jacket. It's just chilly. It's just like, ooh, it's brisk out here. Yeah. In kind of a nice way. Take a walk around.
The weather's been scary warm here, like global warming.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you should be under like 8 feet of snow by now.
Yeah, and it was 16 degrees today. So I went out and I put out the Christmas lights.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Normally
how many Christmas lights do you put up?
Not a lot.
Do you do the Griswold around the top and everything?
There's no zero ladder involved. So we have like our stairs going up to the front door, It's like the 70s, that iron handrail, like that. So I just put the Christmas lights like in a V up and down.
Just the laziest way you can. Just throw them on the rail. If they stay there, fine. If they fall on the ground, fine.
No, I use tie wraps. I tie them up with the tie wraps so they'll stay on there. But that's all I do. That's the effort I put in. But Sarah says it looks pretty, so there you go.
There you go. 'Tis the season. You gotta support the cause. At least people can drive by in their cars and their masks and their bubbles and their face shields, and they can see some lights.
Right.
And you just made them feel a little better about their day.
And not think we're heathens, even though technically I am. But I think you have to believe to be a heathen. I think that's the rule.
Right.
You have to believe into something. You have to believe in something to be a heathen, I think. But anyways.
You don't believe in anything, huh?
I believe that we're here, and I have no idea why. I've no one. I don't think anyone has any idea why. I think people made up stories to try to answer the question, but I don't think anyone has the real answer.
What do you do when you're down? Like when you're in a bad place and you got something serious in your head? You ever find yourself talking to somebody you may not even know who, but you got that like, hey, if anyone's out there, I could really use a little help on this or that.
No,
never did that.
No, I mean, when I was a kid, I grew up a Catholic and all that, and I was actually looking at it's not still here. When I found those Star Trek cards, I found in there my old journal from when I was a kid, and I one of my entry points was this kid who was a bully. One of the kids was a bully that used to beat me up. His dad died. His father died. Mm-hmm. And I put in the journal, I feel bad, even though the kid beats me up and that, I feel really bad for him. But it's really weird. It's really awkward to think now that this kid's dad is watching me and can see everything I do. And I'm like, man, you see, that's what religion does, man. It puts just the dumbest things in people's heads. Like that's what I was taught, Mm-hmm. Like, your grandpa's up in heaven and he's looking down on you and he can see everything you do. And I just like, man, stuff I used to worry about.
Boy, that was the creepiest feeling when you think like, wow, yeah, they're watching everything I do all the time. They got nothing better to do up there than just to watch me.
Yeah.
And judge me.
That's why you would masturbate under the sheets so no one up in heaven could see you. I mean, that's what I heard people do. I was reading the Bible. Yeah.
Oh boy, I was no joke. I was thinking exactly about this whole topic of spirituality and stuff as I was driving home yesterday, and I don't even know what sparked it, but I had a very similar train of thoughts going through my head.
Yeah, and it's all the power to people who believe it. I'm actually jealous of people who have like some sort of connection, because it's very comforting, to think that there's somebody there to help you out, and I understand like a lot of people need it. They need it, There's no like I've had conversations with people like none of the stuff to me makes any sense. Like the Old Testament's like it's supposedly written by Moses. Right, like Moses wrote a lot of the Old Testament, but he wrote it all in first person. Because when you read it, it's like Moses did this. Why wouldn't you just say I did this? I did that. I did like that. Does stuff like that just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways,
I got yelled at by someone in high school, I guess, because he was like super religious, and we were talking about the Bible for some reason. I was like, what was it? Basically, I got in trouble for saying something like, oh, well, God didn't write the Bible. People did. He's like, what do you mean God didn't write the Bible? God intervened and made everybody write everything down. And like,
oh,
no, but it's like,
is that what happened?
Got all these, they got all these different authors and stuff contradicts itself. Maybe the problem is with Catholicism because it couldn't lock us in. We got to go talk to Joe Biden and see what keeps him going.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, and even the Bible that exists today was put together like hundreds of years after Jesus was here.
They had their PR team get together and slap together a nice package there.
Totally. It was just a bunch of guys because there was the Dead Sea Scrolls that they discovered, and they just kind of picked and chose like what they wanted what the Bible to be. And a lot of it has been edited too. It's not exactly taken down word for word, but I don't know if we're supposed to be talking about this. We started off as a video game
because we've irritated some people with the politics talk, and we want to go one step further.
Sure, why not? Alienate everybody. Did we annoy anyone? I didn't hear if we annoyed anyone. The politics talk. Let's let Richard cough there.
I still mute myself when I cough. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you irritate somebody about it, you're not really going to know. They're just going
to. It depends. It depends on who you irritate.
Yeah.
Kyle says, I go to the Church of Vinyl. That is true.
That's true.
The records.
If you want to go like down to hardcore beliefs, the thing that really keeps me going is as silly as it sounds. I just try to follow the prime directives set forth by Starfleet. Be a good person, you know?
Yeah. That's just what I do. I've just like the golden rule: do unto others as they have do unto you. I'm not always good at it.
That's from the Bible.
I don't think that is.
I don't know.
I don't think it is. It's definitely not one of the 10 Commandments. Why is it?
Because that's what they tell you is like being a good person isn't good enough. You have to embrace, the power of God and all that.
Yeah.
But they still allow that whole deathbed conversion thing. You know, you could be a jerk your entire life, but then like right at the end, just
confess your
save
sins.
me.
But that's God forgiving you. That's not humanity forgiving you. So
I don't know.
I don't know the whole thing. I've had this conversation with people who are hardcore religious too. I never understood like if somebody lived their entire life as a good person and they just didn't believe in God, that was just not their thing, right? But they never, they went to work, whatever. They just lived their life without bothering anyone, right? They are going to go to hell because they never believed in God. But the person who went out and killed 20 people, right, went in a van, drove down the city of Toronto on the sidewalks and just knocked off 20 people. But before they, before he died, we don't have the death penalty here, so we have to wait for him to rot in prison and then eventually die. As long as he, confesses his sins and says he believes in God, he's going to go to heaven. I never understood that. I don't get that at all.
Now, I'm sure somebody of faith would probably tell you there's a little more to it than that. And they'd give you some sort of... Well,
the person I was talking to just said, yes. That's that doesn't make any sense to me. And there's like, well, that's the way it is. Those are the rules.
Yeah. You went to Catholic school as a kid?
Yep. Until grade.
See, we weren't allowed to really question things. If you had a question about it, they like a politician trying to dodge a question, is the same thing. The teacher would just like, that's in the Bible. You just, that's what it is. Don't worry about that. Your question, this was written a long time ago. Your question doesn't really match. It's just do your work, just quickly get off the subject.
Yeah. I don't know if we were allowed to question things either. I just did. But I never asked the teachers on it. And like that, I came to my thing like in my early 20s. I really I didn't know what to believe, and then I started looking at other religions. Like I started looking at because really it was that Simpsons episode, right? Like where Lisa, like she just was not jiving with the Catholic religion, so she starts like looking into Buddhism, and she's
the Simpsons are Protestant, I believe. They're not Catholic,
right? They have a reverend, right? And
Reverend Lovejoy.
Right. Okay, sorry, whatever. They're all the same to me. I know that gets people upset.
I can't tell. I couldn't tell you. I get that question all the time from people here. Is like, what's the difference between this and that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they got slightly different details.
It's funny because Sarah was raised Baptist, and like she brings up like how disgusting the Pope is and the Catholic Church is and all that. And that's how they feel, like, because that is not, they're not following the Bible. They're following false idols, because Catholic religion is very much about saints and Mary
all your
and
people
Joseph.
down here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's like, like if you're having, if there's certain things bothering you in your life, you're supposed to pray to a certain saint. There's one saint, Saint Anthony, I think. If you lost something, you pray to Saint Anthony and he'll find it for you. That's how that's just.
That kind of feels like Buddhism, because there are like different gods of everything, whatever you got, there's a god for it.
Anyways, I think my mother-in-law had a book about all the different religions and that. And I borrowed it and I started reading, doing research on like, okay, maybe Catholicism isn't my thing, but I'll look at these other religions. And I started reading them, like, man, these are all just kooky. None of these make any sense. So,
well, to me, that's the thing though, that I'm sure you'll get an argument from someone of faith, and you don't want to, like, I'm the same way. If that helps you, fine.
Yeah.
Just don't try to convert me. And if I'm okay with whatever you're believing, please be okay with whatever I'm believing. Show me that courtesy. But when you take an established religion like Christianity or Judaism or Hinduism or whatever you got, and then you compare it to the crackpot down the street who's like worshiping a turnip, and it's like, this is my religion, and he honestly believes that, there's really no difference between any of them except the fact that the turnip guy does not have a historically acknowledged religion.
Yeah.
You can't prove anything one way or another in any of these. It's all just your own gut telling you this is what's good for me.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean.
Helps you? Go for it.
That's what I mean. Like when the Baptists look down on the Catholic people because I'm like, your religion's just as kooky, man. There's
exactly.
You believe in kooky stuff too. You believe a guy built a boat 3,000 years ago and got two of everyone on the boat, and two of everything,
and then
every animal.
Let the inbreeding commence right after.
Yeah, what's up with that? I don't know. Wow.
This is what happens when we don't play enough games.
That's right, or watching this stuff. I do have some things. Some.
Those are the buffer ideas, that keeps us from letting loose what's actually going on in our heads.
Here's Kyle. He says, politics, religion, now you need to talk about sex. Sarah does not like me talking about sex, so I can't. Religion, I'm okay with. I will. Yeah,
you're gonna get in trouble.
I will. He says, I like this is Kyle again. I like Vox's idea of just following the Prime Directive, which is largely put together by his boy Captain Archer.
My boy.
Is this a spoiler? I haven't got that far yet. Okay, way to steer the conversation to some Star Trek.
Once
Kyle.
you get towards the end of season 4, Archer debunks all major religions and just promotes science.
See, that's the thing, too. I know religious people that love Star Trek, and there's no religious stuff in Star Trek. Like
the Bajorans and other races will be highly religious, but if you look at Starfleet, and any of the humans, they often dodge that. Whenever the topic of spirituality comes up, they kind of sidestep it. Like, we believe in science. So it kind of seems to be that within Star Trek's future, they really have abandoned major religion.
Yeah. There's some things, like I think Christmas is brought up a couple of times. And like you probably got to the episode where Captain Kirk marries a couple on the ship. I think it was a very early episode, and I believe that was insinuated that they were in like the ship's chapel in a way, but there was no symbol of any sort of.
There were no symbols of any kind, and they cut out of that to get to the main story.
Right? Yeah, fairly quick.
But there was even one. It's one of those Picard quotes where he's like, I forget what happened in the episode, but it was about this. There was this culture, and they had come out of the time of believing in fantasy and stuff and had embraced science. And for whatever reason, Starfleet wanted him to like kind of get them back and just like, don't tell them about this. And he's like, no, you want me to send them back to the dark ages where they're believing in fantasy?
Right.
Is like, I won't do it.
Yeah. Well, that's where like they get worried about them worshiping them, right? Like, because they have all this technology in that. So when they go see a primitive society in that, the primitive society will believe they're the people from in the Federation are gods because they can do all these things. They have all these abilities.
Oh, I don't know if it's the same episode as that, but there's one great Picard moment where somebody beams up and she sees him and she kneels down in front of him. Yeah. And he's like, "Get up. You must not kneel to me.
Yeah.
You do not wish it. I do not deserve it."
Right. Yeah.
That is great.
That's a good line. Yeah. Good stuff, Picard. He's always got the good lines.
He looks so physically uncomfortable in the scene. It's great.
Yeah. I wish I carried over into the new series. Damn. Okay.
Are you watching Discovery or are you still pulling clips from that?
No, I have not. I watched like one, like the first episode, some of it. Again, like I just kind of tuning in and out, and then the other episode. But that was it. I mean, everybody says that the show is getting better in that. And every time I look at it, it looks like it's the same. They're stuck in the same rut that they've been stuck in since season 1. So I don't know what people are talking about. But until like the series ends now, I think at this point, and like everyone said, "Oh, I had a really good ending. Maybe I'll watch the ending," but I really have no desire to watch that show. The show is broken and doesn't seem like they have any way to fix it. But what they did seem to fix and then cancel was Enterprise, because I did watch another episode of that. So I was in part 2 of the
Tellarites and Andorians.
Right, the Tellarites and Andorians with Jeffrey Combs. Right, Combs. Right, it's Ernie. See, my hero growing up was Mr. Dressup, who was played by Ernie Coombs.
Mr. Dressup?
That's right.
What is that?
He was Mr. Dressup, and every Canadian knows this. Mr. Dressup was the cool version of Mr. Rogers.
Get out of town. Mr.
Dressup was way better than Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was good.
Mr. Rogers was great.
He was good, but he was a little dry. He can get a little boring at times. Mr. Dressup was fun. Mr. Dressup could draw. He had puppets. He had the tickle trunk.
Oh, wow. He completely ripped off Mr. Rogers' style. Look at this.
Absolutely not.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely not. Ernie Coombs had a style of his own, and he was fantastic, and he is a Canadian hero. And he's fantastic. Any Canadian.
Why is he called Mr. Dressup?
Because he would dress up. He had a tickle trunk, and he'd open it up, and he'd dress up.
A tickle trunk.
That's right. Look, a techno dork knows. Mr. Dressup was badass. Boom. Because he's a Canadian. Every Canadian knows Mr. Dressup. They grew up. You had PBS. You had the CBC. You could choose which one you wanted. And like I said, not knocking Mr. Rogers at all. He was good. But we had a real treasure with Ernie Coombs, man. They still run his show. The guy's been dead for 20 years. They still run it because Canadians want their kids to grow up watching Mr. Dressup. And his show was timeless because he would just talk about, kids and their emotions and their feelings. And he was fun.
Mr. Rogers did that.
Yeah, but Mr. Rogers, like I said.
He had fish.
Like I said, Mr. Rogers was a little dry. He was okay. He was good. You watch him okay. But, Mr. McFeely would come and visit. That'd be the highlight. And then he'd go away. And then you're stuck with, Mr. Rogers' puppets who were okay. But they were not Mr. Dressup, man. Mr. Dressup's puppets.
Thank you, Rocket Sauce. You stole my line.
No, Tom Hanks did not do a movie about Mr. Dressup because Americans are ignorant. And they don't know about Mr. Dressup. And if they would enlighten themselves and find out about Mr. Dressup, Tom Hanks would do 3 movies about Mr. Dressup.
Maybe you get Jim Carrey to do one.
There you go. Techno Dork out. If Tom Hanks were Canadian, he would have. Boom. Boom. Treasure, man. Treasure. It makes me feel good to be Canadian when I talk about Mr. Dressup because, we had the best of both worlds. We could watch Mr. Rogers, but we also had Mr. Dressup. He's our ace in the pocket.
Isn't that something that we have more pride and nostalgia for our childhood television personalities than any of our politicians?
Oh yeah, for sure. Mr. Dressup taught me way more than any politician ever taught me. So
right, I can believe it. I will check out Mr. Dressup.
And the guy could draw, man. Yeah, well, show some YouTube videos to your kids, man. They will love Mr. Dressup. The guy could draw too. He was just an ace drawer. He would just grab that marker, everything, a permanent marker, and just come up with like a perfect cartoon thing every single time. He was the bomb, man. Had the songs.
Where's the Mr. Dressup Funko Pop?
Again, that's all American stuff, man. Like Canadians don't. We don't get that.
You have a Canadian version of that?
No, we don't. We don't.
You don't go into your Target and find Mr. Dressup faded T-shirts.
But if they did, if they had a Mr. Dressup, a Funko Pop, and a Casey and a Finnegan, I'd buy all three. I have the full set. Word up.
Campaign.
Word up. Let's go. Canadian CC. Let's take over the CC and get everyone in the Cartridge Club watching Mr. Dressup.
Make CC great again.
That's right. Campaign. And it's not anything against, I will not do a campaign to make it against Mr. Rogers. He's just a comparison. Mr. Rogers was good too. I don't want to disparage Mr. Rogers. How did we fill 56 minutes with this crap?
Will bash religion all day long, but you're not going to touch Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers was a good guy, man. Good guy. No problem with that guy. And I think he was religious too. I'm not sure. I can't remember from the movie.
Probably.
If he was. But that's fine. It's all good. CC needs the CanCon. That's right. CanCon is Canadian content. That is something all of our networks and radio stations have. Is there has to be a percentage of whatever they air to be uniquely Canadian. That's where Bob and Doug McKenzie came from.
Okay.
Because they had, so in Canada we ran less commercials on the program SCTV, right? Mm-hmm. And because we ran less commercials, we put more content, more show content in there. So they wanted to make that content to be uniquely Canadian to run in the Canadian market. So that's where they were in. That's where they created Bob and Doug McKenzie. And it was only supposed to run in Canada because it was only supposed to be jokes that Canadians would get. But it became a hit in the States because Americans like making fun of us.
I'm going to wager that there are Bob and Doug McKenzie Funko Pops.
I don't think there are.
I know I've seen some action figures. Maybe it was McFarlane back in the day.
Yes, there was McFarlane, Bob and Doug McKenzie's. I do remember those.
You got to have some Canadian representation in those Funko Pops.
I don't know. I don't know if they do.
Are there like Kids in the Hall action figures?
I don't think so. No, the closest you can get is Rick Moranis from Little Shop of Horrors. Oh, vinyl art. Bob and Doug McKenzie vinyl art. Maybe here. Oh, yeah. They're not Funko Pops, but
they got something.
They do have something.
Okay. Well, I'm guessing, that means it's probably going to be quite a while before you get a Mr. Dressup.
I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't know. Maybe.
Lead the charge.
Here you go. See, Techno Dork. See, he's a good Canadian. He'll remind everyone of who the Canadians are. So you got Eugene Levy, Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Michael J. Fox,
Justin Bieber.
Don't forget that guy.
I bet you he'll get a Funko Pop.
Hey, we got Brian Joyner joining us. Mr. Rogers was indeed, in fact, an ordained Presbyterian minister. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. Fun fact.
Fill us in, Kevin. What's the difference between a Presbyterian, a Baptist, and a Mormon?
Well, I know Baptists follow the Bible. Like that's they just
no common ground for everybody.
No, because like I said, the Catholicism, the Bible is part of Catholicism, right? But like in the Bible, it says you shall not worship.
It's usually the spark. That's usually what sets things off,
right? But it doesn't. We don't follow it like to the T, right? Whereas in Baptists, they follow it more closely.
I sure do. Eye for an eye. That's what I remember.
And then Mormons, can't they? They can have more than one wife, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah, that's them, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I remember that from Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. So there you go.
Keanu Reeves too.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves is Canadian.
Really?
Ryan Reynolds is Canadian. Pamela Anderson, Canadian.
Yeah, I know that one.
Kids in the Hall are Canadian. Do Canadians actually like Kids in the Hall? Ryan asks. Yes, I love Kids in the Hall.
Christian your head.
J-Rock and I used to talk about Kids in the Hall. We connected on Kids in the Hall. Love it. I do thank you for Jim Carrey. Well, I thank you for thinking me of Jim Carrey, Kyle. I think it means he thanks us for Jim Carrey.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. I actually have some things to talk about. Just a few things, few movies. And then I want to get to the X-Men movies because I'm going to rank all the X-Men movies. So get ready.
Okay.
Because I caught up. I caught up and watched all the X-Men movies and I'm ready to rank them. From worst to first.
Okay. Okay,
you're ready. So
I had a question, but I'm just going to let you do your thing before we get to the X-Men.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention I watched a movie called Hell or High Water, which stars Jeff Bridges. And it was a great kind of 70s throwback movie. It also has Chris Pine, who has played the modern Captain Kirk. Mm-hmm. And it was about Chris Pine and his brother going on these bank robbing sprees in Texas and like these obscure towns in Texas. And Jeff Bridges plays a sheriff who is chasing them. And it just felt like a good old 70s movie. It had car chases in them and that, and just some really shady characters with some good characters, a lot of heart. And, not everybody was like 100% good or 100% bad. Everyone had like shades of gray to them. And it was just good times. So if you're looking for a movie like that, Hell or High Water, and Jeff Bridges was good in it. And then another movie I watched with Jeff Bridges in was called Bad Times at the El Royale, which is a hotel. So it's like it takes place at this hotel that's right on the California and Nevada border. I'm not sure why. It didn't make any sense, like why that was important. I suppose it had to do with some symbolism or something like that, but I didn't enjoy the movie as much because it was more style than substance. There wasn't like just the story wasn't as good in there. There's some good performances in it, but the movie was 2.5 hours long, and it felt like it could be 2 hours easily if they just cut out some of the fat. It was one of those movies where something occurs and then it shows you that thing occurring from all the other characters' perspective. Whereas if they just showed it in a linear, it would have been done in 2 minutes instead of like 2 minutes, and just stupid things like that were just added too much time. But it was okay, but not great. Okay, X-Men movies.
Okay, now my first question: how many X-Men movies are there? Because I know 3, and then 3 Wolverine movies, and then they had the origin. Yes. Was it like
one of the origin?
2 or
there was only one origin movie,
the first class one, right?
Okay, you're talking about because there's
3 X-Men movies, then there's 3 Wolverine.
Instead of you figuring out, let me just answer the question for you. Okay, so the number of movies is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 X-Men movies. Some people count the Deadpool movies because technically that's in the same cinematic universe. But I am not going to count the Deadpool.
Look at that, there's rockets.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, I'm not counting them. So there are 10 X-Men movies. There are 4 with the new class. There are 3 with the original, and then there are 2 Wolverine movies.
3 Wolverine movies.
Oh, right, 3. Okay, yeah. I was gonna count Logan as a different one, but if you want to count that one as a Wolverine movie, then we'll say 3 Wolverine movies.
Okay.
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 All right.
Right.
Okay. So
how are you doing this? Worst to best? Or?
Worst to best. Worst to best. Okay. So let me just talk about. So I was watching the X-Men movies because basically the new X-Men movie, Dark Phoenix, came onto my PVR. Right. It was coming up to record so I wanted to record the movie. This is way back in May. And when it comes to the X-Men movies, I didn't really have everything straight in my head. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I have no idea what the hell they're talking about when they go flashback into things because it's been 10, 15 years since I watched like the first movie or whatever. So I wanted to do it right. And I went and I rewatched all the other movies and I finally watched all those. And then I watched Dark Phoenix. The problem, so I think there's only 2 bad movies in the entire series. The rest are pretty good. So let me just tell you right now, at the bottom, way down at the bottom, this is actually it's off a steep cliff. I think is the latest X-Men movie. So that's the worst one, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Okay. Let me tell you why. With the origin, with the younger team, the new class, I always felt that the casting was really well done. You know, they picked some really good people to play. Whoever played, Professor X, they picked a good actor to play the young Professor X, picked a good actor to play the young Mystique and all that. It was all good stuff. But with this movie and the movie before it, they picked Sophia Turner from the Game of Thrones series to play Jean Grey. And her acting is very flat, which works in Game of Thrones because there's always it's really depressing, and everything she's going through is really depressing. So it works in there. She would never get really too excited about when good things happen or, bad things happen. She kind of has to, check herself out. So it works for that. But in this comic book movies, it doesn't really work. Now I'm reading comments. Okay.
They're criticizing you before you've even said it.
I know.
I think the fact that you said they're all pretty good except for 2.
I'm sorry, but they all are pretty good except for 2. And I know Ryan has some strong opinions, but just let me explain myself. Okay. So Dark Phoenix, here's the problem with Dark Phoenix is that Sophia Turner, she's playing the Jean Grey. And this whole thing where Jean Grey turns into the Phoenix, which she doesn't have control of the power, the powers of, it's just an entity that's beyond her, right? She's Jean Grey, she's got the mind control things, but she's got bigger powers within her. And if she lets them out, she turns into this Dark Phoenix thing, right? They've done this now. This was the 3rd time that they've done this in the series. It has become the Death Star of Star Wars. It's the same thing over and over again. They did it at the end of X-Men 3, where she became the Phoenix. They did it in the last movie. What was the last movie? Apocalypse. And then they do it again in this movie. It's just too much with the Phoenix. So enough with the Phoenix already. Plus they gave I can't remember the guy's name, but it wasn't Bryan Singer who did it. They gave it to some other guy who did the writing and the directing. And it just wasn't very good. It was I think they had
3 or for this.
This is 4th. This is the 4th of the first class. So I think that they just had the guys, the people under contract to make another movie, and they just said, "Well, let's just make another movie with this guy." And it just seemed like the story wasn't very good. Okay, so that one was bad. The next bad movie, I think you would agree with me.
I'm probably gonna guess this one. Go ahead.
Go ahead, guess. Guess what the next one is.
The first Wolverine movie. I always hear bad things about that. Wolverine origin, X-Men.
You know what?
Wolverine.
There's three bad movies. You are correct. There are 3 bad movies. Okay. So the next bad one is X-Men: The Last Stand aka
That's
X-Men 3.
3, yeah.
Yeah. I think we talked about this movie in the past, but it's just
this is one at least I've seen, and it was a big disappointment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
That's when Bryan Singer stepped away, and they brought in Brett Ratner, who did the Rush Hour movies, to do it.
Right. Yeah. So that movie, it's not very good. You got the guy with the spikes coming out of him. That just the worst, useless character. And it's the first time that the whole Phoenix thing happens, and they kill off. Spoiler alert: they kill off Scott. Right, and they don't give him like any sort of send off or anything like that. He's just
off-screen death for
it was bad. So that one was bad. Okay, third bad movie. This is a bad one too. Is the X-Men Origins, the Wolverine? That one, just had no. It was lost. That movie's just lost. They have no idea what the heck they were doing with that movie. They wanted Deadpool. Deadpool's in it, and it's Ryan Reynolds who plays him, but he's like this weird version of Ryan Deadpool.
It's the studio's version of Deadpool. Yeah, that apparently he was complaining the entire time, saying the fans are going to kill you for switching him around like this.
Right. But it's not a very good movie. Okay,
that one I've seen most of it. Yeah, it seemed pretty bad.
Okay, so now we're getting into the good movies. These are like, this is good. It's a good movie. It's not great. It's not fantastic, but it's a good movie. And the weakest of the good movies is X-Men Apocalypse. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this movie. They got problems with it or whatever. I think Apocalypse is portrayed one way in the comics, and he's not that way in the movie or something. I don't know. I'm just watching the movie, right? I'm just watching the movie as a movie. X-Men Apocalypse has some problems. It has some scenes that made me cringe.
Don't spoil it, because I do.
I'm not going to spoil it. Some of it involved Sophia Turner and her acting, because she portrays Jean Grey in this as well. But there were a lot of good ideas in the movie. So Apocalypse, I'm just going to say Apocalypse is a guy that he's like a really strong mutant, and he can help other mutants evolve their powers, right? If they're just like basically unleash their full potential. So like he would touch them and stuff like that, and they would become more powerful because they would realize what more they do. And there was kind of a neat thing where he did what he did with Magneto, is he didn't really give him extra power, because Magneto's already really strong. But what he did was he showed him how to tap into the metal that's in rocks. And like not just metal itself, but like the parts of metal. And he's able to now he's able to break things down. Like he can take a whole building down, right? Because the bricks have minerals in them. So basically he can manipulate minerals now. So there's like a lot of cool ideas, I thought, that was in that movie. And I thought it worked. Well. Okay, so now we're getting into better than good. We're getting into this is some great, really good stuff. I'll say really good.
Okay.
So my next one is, and I'm actually surprised it's this low on the list. I thought it'd be higher, but it's X2, aka X-Men 2.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought it would be higher, but X-Men 2 has some parts in it that drag a little. It's not as well tight of a movie as the first X-Men. And if it weren't for those parts that dragged a little, I think I would have enjoyed it a little more. But, it's really all about the ending, that kind of Empire Strikes Back-ish ending of X-Men 2 that leaves you on that big cliffhanger. But then you realize that you got to watch X-Men 3 if you want a conclusion to this story. So it kind of sucks. So, I kind of feel that way about the, what was that movie? The Guardians of the Galaxy. Like the first movie was kind of by the numbers. It wasn't that, it's kind of okay. But then the second movie was really good. So it made the first movie better, because you're getting all the characters and then they go on to a great adventure. Whereas this, it's like, okay, this was good, but then, it's not going to go anywhere. So, okay. So now we're getting a little better now. Even better, I would put the next movie, The Wolverine. Just the plain old The Wolverine. That's the one where he goes to Japan and he fights ninjas. And there's the old man there. You saw that movie, right?
Nope.
Okay. Well, watch that one because that one's good. There's an old man there that he knew from the past, that he helped out during World War II, because Wolverine is like super old and doesn't age. So, but this friend of his ages, and it's just good stuff. It's just a fun movie. If you want to watch Wolverine go around fighting ninjas, it's good times. Okay. Next, I'm going with X-Men First Class. So this is the first movie with the new crew. So really just a fun movie. You're introduced to all the characters again, great casting in that movie. All the young kids that they got to play the older characters were really fun. And then Kevin Bacon's in it, and he plays a good villain. I thought I thought he made a really good villain in it. And it's just a fun movie that surprises you towards the end. It was kind of surprising to see what was happening towards the end. So that was my next one. Okay. Next, I went with the original X-Men. That still is a good movie, even though it has some CG in it that has not aged too well. And that
2000, that movie.
The 2000 X-Men, and in that scene in the Statue of Liberty doesn't make too much sense. Like, why didn't Storm just use her powers? Whatever.
Yeah, a little lapse in judgment there.
Oh, I forgot about that too. In X-Men Dark Phoenix, Storm fights this guy who has, his power is that he's got these dreadlocks, and the dreadlocks that can whip around and whip at him. So she's like throwing lightning at him, and it's not doing it, like he's dodging it and he's like trying to whip her with his dreadlocks. It's so bad. It was terrible. Like I don't know what they did with Storm in that movie, because she should be able to kick better ass than that. Okay, next, I know this is a movie that you're not so high.
Sorry,
on.
How many are left?
2. We're at the second best X-Men movie of all time. I know you're not a huge fan of it, but I love it. I think it's good, and that is Logan. I thought that was a great wrap up to a couple of stories for a couple of characters. I'm trying not to spoil it. That's why I'm being. So I thought that was a great wrap up for those 2 characters, and I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now, and every time I watch it, it just flies on by. I know you had some problems with it, but the problems you had, I didn't have. Okay, number 1 of all time, the best X-Men movie. Such a great science fiction idea in this movie, and it's so good, and it actually has mostly both of the casts in this movie. They come together in this movie, and it has such a great ending too. It's X-Men Days of Future Past, and it also has another guy from Game of Thrones in it, Peter Dinklage, but he's way better in this movie than Sophia Turner is in the next 2 movies. But this movie has such a cool idea where it's in the future, or I guess present day, where you have now everything I'm going to tell you is within the first 15 minutes of the movie. So this isn't really spoilers.
I don't
this isn't spoilers. This isn't spoilers. I want you to watch this movie. I want you to watch
so then just let me be, and I'll watch it.
I can't. Okay. All right. We'll watch it.
I find it shocking because I do enjoy the first 2 X-Men movies.
Yeah.
I think they're a lot of fun, and I don't know why I haven't seen all these other X-Men movies. It just seems strange that I've not made time to watch.
Are they on Netflix there?
I'm sure that some things are available to. I've seen 1, 2, 3. I don't really want to watch 3 again.
You don't need to.
I think I saw most of the first Wolverine movie, so I didn't see the second Wolverine movie, and then I got all the new X-Men movies after that to watch.
You should just watch the first 2 so we can talk about it.
Okay.
Watch the first 2. Watch, what is it? First Class, and then Days of Future Past. And those are good times. And you can watch Apocalypse. That was a pretty good movie as well. You can forget about.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but outside of Logan, all of the other X-Men movies are at least PG-13, right?
Yeah, everything is.
Nothing risque in any of those, right?
No. Nope.
Okay.
I mean, there's even a scene in one of the First Class where they run into, I don't know if this is a spoiler. I know people get so they run into Weapon X, And Weapon X uses his claws, but you don't really see it. It's all off camera. So
Okay.
Oh, and that's right. Rocket Sauce says Deadpool is rated R, but I didn't count.
You know, I'm never gonna watch Deadpool again. I saw the first one. I thought it was okay.
Boobies.
It was like on the border of being obnoxious and being entertaining.
Which one?
And I was like,
Deadpool?
Deadpool, the first one.
You crazy with your humor. Those movies are great, man. They're fun.
It was fine, but it felt like, all right, this guy's just getting annoying now. You're the one who hates the Deadpool comics and everything.
The comics I don't get those. I don't get those. But the movie I thought it was great.
I thought it was fun, so I was fine as long as I don't watch it again. If I watch it again, I'll probably just feel like this is really annoying. And yeah, I'm just going to skip part 2.
I don't think you'll like part 2.
Yeah, more of the same.
I think those are great. I think those are great. Good times. Okay, let me read what Ryan is saying here. Let's see.
Ryan just loves to complain about this. If he hates all these movies from the beginning, why is he watching all?
Oh my God, how many comments did he put here? Okay, so I answered those. Days of Future Past has members of the old cast in it. Okay, yeah, I covered that. Let's make sure. Oh, this should be good. All right. I don't know. Hopefully it was. Let's see. Okay, so Kyle says, just like Star Wars movies, the original trilogy was good. The rest, yuck. So he doesn't like the First Class. Interesting.
He doesn't like any of the Star Wars.
He's a Star Trek guy, so I don't think you're allowed to like Star Wars.
That's right. Choose your side.
Except the original movies are bad here as well. Okay.
Yet he continues to watch all of them.
Is Kevin counting New Mutants? Obviously not. New Mutants is not out yet, right? So I don't think That's
the movie they made like 5 years ago and just can't get distribution for.
Yeah. Well, I think it was supposed to come out. Then COVID happened. Isn't that what? Or am I wrong? I don't know. Rocket Sauce says he liked Days of Future Past and First Class. I'm with you on there. He says, good point. That's all I need to know. Good point. Whatever it is. Whatever I made. X2 hasn't aged well. I thought it was fine. It just had some pacing issues. Let's see. Okay, here's the thing that Rocket Sauce gets all worked up about that I have no idea what he's talking about. But they gave powers to Kitty Pryde that she doesn't have. I don't care. I'm just care about a movie. You know, at the beginning of the movie, they established that she could do something, and I don't care. I didn't even know who she was. I just saw her as Ellen Page. Like Ellen Page is a mutant. I don't even think they said her name once. I don't even know. I don't even care.
She walks through walls, right?
She can walk through walls, and then she could do something.
That's what I know.
That I can't spoil for you.
Right, don't spoil it.
I'm not allowed to spoil it for you.
Don't you dare.
Nostalgic. This is Kyle again. Nostalgic Critic on YouTube brings up good points about why it's better than some people think. Oh, this is X3 he's talking about. I don't know. I just watch it for a movie. I just want to be entertained with the story and the beginning, a middle, and an end. That's all I watch it for. That's all I base it on. I don't base it on any sort of lore or anything like that or backstory or whatever. I'm there for a movie.
You know what comic book movie I'm really interested in? And I'm not joking. The Snyder Cut. I really want to watch that.
I think you're a DC fanboy.
I'm just fascinated because how rare is it? I mean, I saw the first one. It's not great, but it's kind of silly fun. But how often is it that you get a movie by two different directors and two different visions? And the fact that the only other example I can think of is also another Superman movie.
The Richard Donner cut.
Yeah, it's so weird.
That is true.
So
I just don't think there's any saving that movie because they suck. There's nothing to save.
It's not a great movie. I don't know. I've got a soft spot for it. I won't defend it. It's not great, but I am curious to see somebody else's interpretation of that with the same characters and most of the same footage.
Like we're talking, like this is the movie that, because I'm kind of confused with them. It's the one with Jesse Eisenberg is playing Lex Luthor. Is this the same movie?
Is he in that one?
I don't know. Which is the one that they want the Schneider cut for?
That's the Justice League with the Flash and the Aquaman and the Cyborg Man.
Fast forwarded through that movie. See, the Flash in that movie was terrible. Like, he was just so obnoxious. I like Quicksilver.
He was the comic relief. Yeah.
I like Quicksilver in these X-Men movies. I just love the effect and everything that they do, how they show his powers and that. That's so much fun. The only thing that doesn't make sense is that he listens to rock music while he's doing his thing. So he puts on headphones, which the first movie or the second movie takes place in 1973. So I don't know where he got headphone music to come from, but how is he playing the music in his fast time while he's doing this stuff? How
isn't it like anything that you hold on to you like goes into that time warp with you?
Oh, does it? Okay.
It's like when you grab a person,
right?
Like if Flash
that's
grabs
right, he can
somebody
do that.
Moves,
that's right. He has to hold everybody's, like if he grabs another person, he has to hold their head. So because if he doesn't, they'll get whiplash. So he has to hold their head and it's very cool. So his Walkman is in his time sync.
It's traveling through. If you can accept the fact that a human being can travel faster than the speed of light,
I just want to know how the music.
You can accept the fact that he can listen to some tunes.
Well, I think that they corrected that in the next movie because they didn't do the headphones thing. They just had some music playing while he did it. So it was good times. All right.
Time to wrap it up because I gotta go.
Yeah, this is enough. Okay, follow Retro Fandango on Twitter, the Cartridge Club's only weekly podcast. You can follow us at retro_Fandango. Well, you might get a notification that we're going to be recording. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much that's on that thing. But you can add us over there. We might at you back. Could happen.
Yeah.
Get a boner with Retro Fandango. Don't forget to check out our Discord. We've been talking about movies over there as well. Talking about digital movies.
Oh,
yeah, it's been good times. Good times over there. So there you go. Kyle agrees with me. The Quicksilver scenes in X-Men were fantastic, and he doesn't even like those movies. So there you go. Rocket Sauce says 2020 podcast of the years. Just declare it like Trump.
Exactly.
I think we tried that in the past, but it didn't.
The only reason we would lose is if there was just a bunch of fake ballots.
That's right. It's rigged. I bet you the voting for podcast of the year was done in Pennsylvania. That's the most corrupt place on the planet.
Yeah, I'm not accepting any digital votes. You gotta get out there and vote in person.
So here's the thing with these votes, and explain this to me as a ignorant Canadian. So on an American ballot, you can vote for president, right? But isn't there a whole bunch of other things that you can vote for as well?
Yeah, there was there was a was it Senate?
Yeah, there's senator.
Yeah,
races for Senate.
There were a couple different things on there. I believe there were 3 different.
Like depending on what area you're in, you have bills that you can vote on, right? Because they got
there's more than just president. You've got other stuff on there.
So how can they say that the votes for president on the ballots were bad? Doesn't that make the whole ballot bad then?
No, the Republican parts were okay. Where the Republicans win, that stuff's okay.
Like if you're going to throw out a ballot, doesn't that throw out everything on the ballot, not just the vote for president?
It's only the votes for president in some states that turned blue.
Those are the only ones that are bad.
Those are the only ones. There was high counts of fraud going on there.
Right.
The other places there was some fraud, but
like it just doesn't make sense.
They caught it in time.
It doesn't make sense to me if the election's rigged, right? And the votes for president were wrong. Doesn't that make everything else that was on the ballot wrong? Doesn't that make everything on that rigged?
No.
No. You guys should adopt the Canadian system. You guys should go parliament. Once you go parliament, you never go back to president. I'm not good at rhyming.
Right.
Yeah, see, they legalized weed in some places, right? In Oregon, they legalized everything. You could snort crack in Oregon right now.
This is weird. I don't know if I want to go back to an America where people are just randomly walking around the streets.
Yeah, well, who would
questionable substances?
I think they should legalize everything. I'm one of those guys. If you want to put it in your body, you go ahead. Go do your thing. It's not going to make me do it. They made weed legal here. I still haven't gotten around to trying it. It's not my thing. What can I say? Maybe one day when I get bored, when we're not in lockdown, maybe I'll get to it. I'll go to the Bible store. I'll buy a Bible and then I'll buy some weed. You know, and when I was in college in North Bay, they had a Bible store that was right beside the strip club.
A Bible store? You need an entire store just to sell Bibles?
Just dedicated to Bibles. Nothing else.
Just that one Bible. Got 100 copies of it on display.
It was Bibles. I don't know. There's different kinds of Bibles, right? There's the King James version. I think that's what we used. King James.
I never heard of somebody selling more than one Bible other than like a Barnes and Noble where you can go and get a variety of things. You figure if somebody's going to open up a Bible store, they would sell just whatever Bible for whatever religion they're into.
It was a Bible store that sold Bibles.
That'd be interesting if they just had like a religion store and you could go in and they had all the different religions on display.
Yeah.
You imagine the fights people are going to get into in there. They're going to have to call the cops every day.
That'd be good times. Now the chat wants me to smoke weed live on Fandango. I think
we'll make that part of your stream.
Yeah, I don't think we could. Is that against the terms of service for Twitch? I don't know. All right, that's it. We're done. We've had enough. Everyone's had enough of us. Thank you, Kyle and Rocket Sauce. And Steven, you were here like an hour and a half ago.
Steven was here before the show started.
And then he just left. That was it. And Chris Roberts popped in.
Yeah.
Chat for a bit. We had Techno Dork for a bit. It's good times. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. All right, that's it. Goodbye.
Bye. You hit that wrong mouse button again.
Not having a good day today. All the religious talk, the anti-religious talk.
See? The powers that be are having their revenge.
Yeah, comes back on me. It's my grandmother. She's up in heaven right now. She's going, I'll show you.
I'm watching everything you do.
She is. She could see me doing this right now. Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.